I'm going to go to school to learn to earn, to learn to develop my skill so that I can be skillful to be able to offer value so that money will flow.
Okay. Toby wanted to throw in something.
Yes.
Are you going to education or you're doing?
He has hinged on it because, you know, sometimes I feel like this programming that you speak about has been so in-depth in our hearts, and it's difficult to step away from. So for our viewers today, step by step, how do you advise that we can move away from this programming that generations have passed down to us, understanding that it's important to go to school?
It takes a lot. So I'm not going to tell you it's easy. I'm still going through it in different areas of my life. I still have to sit down with my wife and children. Yeah, I still have to sit down with my family. I still have to sit down with my family and say, look, this is not going to work. We're not going to do this. Why are we doing this? I still do that till date. And it's just the reality. So number one, if things are ideal, and we don't live in an ideal world, if things are ideal, when children are born into a family, they are supposed to be born into a functional family where the parents themselves have understood themselves and they understand parenting. Unfortunately, children are giving birth to children.
Yes.
So dysfunctional people are marrying each other, raising children in dysfunctional environments where it's a generation of dysfunctional people.
Exactly.
The parents themselves don't even know better. They are confused. They don't understand. So if it was an ideal situation, you would have known that this child that is being given to me, I have been given the custody. It's not my child. I've been given the custody of this child for 18 years. And by 18, they send you out. You are done. Because anything that, yes, you start paying anything after 18 is a report card. You have only 18 years.
16.
Yeah. So, but because we don't have that, at 23, we are still following them to interview. At 25, we are still trying to, and that is why we are raising children. Look at marriages today. A lot of men are children. A lot of women life. They have not been allowed to face the reality of life. So it's a continuous cycle. Yeah, so
how do we step away from that?
So it's for all of us that are listening to me right now to begin to realize that, number one, we can do things differently. Go back, identify the things you are doing wrong, identify the areas of deficiency, and come together as a family to make a commitment to say, this and this and these are things that will begin to change. E.g., food. In my family now, for many years, 3 square meal has never been part of. My son, even my 10-year plus, the last baby of the house, cannot come and say that, where's my lunch? He can't say that. From 6 years old, he can't say that. He only comes, I'm hungry. When you are hungry, you come for food, we give you food. If you are not hungry, no food. Sometimes he will not eat till 2. You will say, I'll breakfast. I say, no, I'm okay, I'm not hungry. I'm like, wow. It works. So it's a process you have to go on little by little.
Totally
little by little.
My children are hungry 5 times a day.
No, if they are hungry 5 times a day, you give them food 5 times a day. Because you don't raise them with poverty mentality. But let them understand that food is when I'm hungry. Not that I must eat because there is a timetable that somebody has set for me. Is that so? We are not talking of poverty mentality here. Do you understand? We are talking of helping them to understand that when it's time for them to be able, because there are businesses you will do where you will be on your feet for 10 hours. It's not food you are thinking of. If you don't raise them like that, they won't be able to survive in that atmosphere. Where they will need to now be disciplined.
I have someone that you say
somebody
I'm
can
busy.
now use food to discipline them. Somebody can use food to do all kinds of things to them because they are now hungry. So those are the things that, so we need to learn what are the things we have done wrong. And then number 2, we need to begin to make changes where necessary. And I say it's, marriage is one of the most blessed experience and one of the most cost experience of life. If you marry the wrong person, it can be all this we are saying now. If your partner does not support, it can be trouble. I've just dealt with a case this week of a man crying. He said, what do I do? These children are still children. I'm telling them that by 9 they should be at home. They are telling me that, what do you mean by 9? That's when the party will start.
It's marriage that you need to fix.
And they are girls. So girls plus girl, 3 against 1. You are going to lose the battle. So just receive grace. So those are the things we need to begin to do. Identify the problems, identify the gaps, and then make a commitment to begin to do it. And when you fail, don't be discouraged. Put a support system around you to help you to say, okay, we said we are going to do, why are we not doing this? It's the same thing with savings. It's the same thing with a lot of other aspects of our lives. So what I will say to people is reduce expenditure. That's what I've dealt with now, which is, let's look at the hard facts. Housing, education, there are many things to reduce expenditure. Then the next thing to do is now to increase your income. So you now see now, that one is not easy to do if you don't have value, if you don't have skill, if you don't have knowledge.
So sometimes you might first have to find the gap.
Yes. As I'm sitting as 2001, I already had a folder, and I renewed that folder maybe every 2 years as I was growing up on things to reduce. So if for any reason I have need to reduce anything now. I don't need, I'll just go, yeah, this one goes, because I know every money I spend every month in the family. I know that, okay, what am I doing with cable? Cable gone. You don't need to be paying any money for any cable station or subscription every month when I can use the internet to still do the same thing. Do you understand? Because you are paying for my internet data, you are paying for cable. The things you are watching on cable, you can now watch. So all those things you notice. Okay, we put on diesel generator from this point. Okay, no more 8 hours, now 6 hours. You have those. There was a point in my life, in our family, we buy bottled water. For 2 years, we didn't do that. At a point years ago. Why? Because I said, yeah, no more. But because we knew how much was coming to the show. Everybody should sit down and face reality. Now, think about it. If all of you came here now with low cuts and pattern, if you love shoe, design shoe, manufacture shoe, sell
I like
shoe,
that. Yeah.
Then begin to make money for so that the shoe you are wearing is from the profit of the profit, the grandchild of the money. You can now wear any shoe you want to wear. Not that they add in money. You go and use to wear shoe. Buy shoe that all of you sitting here now, nobody has ever seen.
Sir, we have
since you have been on this board, nobody except the day that you mention where they will now show it. So you are just fooling yourself.
We have just about 3 more minutes, and we need to make money.
People are busy with their life. You are talking.
Yes, we need to make money because some people, there is no reduction. They have reduced everything that can be reduced.
So
the only goal is I need more. So how can they make?
Money only flows in exchange for value. So number one, whatever you are doing right now, begin to think of how you can make more money from what you are already doing. You see, in business, we have what we call forward integration and backward integration. There are many things that you are doing right now that they are still. So you sit down and observe your product and your service. So, okay, this product, is there another way to make money? So, e.g., you have a product, the customer comes and buys the product once. The customer will not need to come again. So, for instance, if you are selling food now, they can come every day. They can come twice a day. But if you are selling a shoe, if the customer has bought shoe once, they will most likely not come back again.
Actually, not that brand.
So that means that that's one customer. What do I need to do to get more money from that customer? So I have to now think of something else to do. Because the 2 ways to grow on that side is number one, begin to come up with new products for your existing customers. So the customers you already have one now. Okay, they have bought, so what else can I give to them? Because they're already your customer. So what else? So the person bought a car from you. Can you say, okay, we now do car wash, we now do servicing, we now sell tires. So you come up with other products that you can give to the existing customer. Then the product you already have now, you now need to take existing product to new customers that don't know you at all. So, and social media will help you do that a lot. So instead of going online just to be able to be looking at who is breaking which person's hearts, who dumped who, you go online to begin to look at the portals of people that desire what you have and begin to trade and say, I have this, I'm doing sales, I'm doing discount, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. There's referral. If you bring this person, you will get this. So those are the things you need to begin to do. And once you begin to explore these two, you'll be amazed. Those two things I've said to you has helped people to be billionaires over and over again. Existing products to new customers and new product to existing customers. Those are two master keys.
Everybody in the studio is looking at you like, what just happened? All of us have
as usual.
Yeah.
Right now.
So we're going to go and listen again. Please do the same. And please reduce your expenses, increase. I actually did a video about this. It looked like you had told me, but we know I've been collecting it from the source. Thank you so much for coming again. Thank you, ladies, for an amazing show.
Stay tuned. Your view.
Hi. You don't know when you have bacteria breath, and bacteria may be the cause of it. Don't let bacteria breath get all the attention. Use Close-Up with antibacterial zinc. Close-Up helps get rid of bacteria breath.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. No need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids. Milo!
We don't like to eat better, more nutritious meals, more veggies, but we want it tasty and easy too. Knorr Cubes, that's the secret. Made with real ingredients like chicken, parsley, and garlic, and enriched with iron, so your meals are better for you and more delicious.
man who bagged a first-class degree in sociology and emerged as the best graduating student from the University of Ibadan. Welcome with us, Mr. Farouk Sani, to the show. Good to have you on the show.
Welcome, sir.
So you can call and join the conversation at 081-0764-1679, 090-241-63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC. Can I please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read it? But you now went back to school to even start school with your son. Tell us about that journey, your decision to go back to school.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a decision that I was quite intentional about because just as you must have read, we had this uncle whose word was a law. He would simply just collect our whole level certificates and will assign courses to us. Your passion was completely irrelevant. So we'll collect it, okay, A1 days, A2 days, you go and read pharmacy. You go and read this. So in my own case, accounting was assigned to me. I didn't know how he came about that conclusion. But I did not know the nitty-gritty of accounting either. So I didn't know the journey I was embarking on. But because what is worth doing at all is worth doing well, and it appears I have a competitive nature, so I just entered it and I just continued to endure. But there was a friend of mine that I constantly complained to, Kolade Ogedengbe, that why is this course so rigid? Everything is fixated. Just say debit the receiver, credit the giver. That's the rule of double entry. Is there nothing we can do about this? He said, no, there's nothing we can do about it. Oh, I want a situation whereby you ask me a question and I will have the latitude to expand my horizon. For instance, with University of Ife. And it took the intervention of one of my great bosses, Sam Onyovosa, to remind me about writing ICANN. In fact, when he asked me, it did not occur to me what he was talking about. So, as he will fondly call me.
Through those mixed experiences you had with the different students in your department?
You know, the major inquiry that led me to sociology was to find out answers to why do people behave the way they behave. So it was a journey that I was well prepared for. Otherwise, I will be a round peg in a square hole at the end of the day. So I expected all of that. I knew that I needed to be that magnanimous. So human beings are subjective. The whole world is the laboratory. It's not an exact science. So a gentleman you crack a joke with today, it does not pick an offense. Tomorrow you crack the same joke. It takes offense. And you begin to wonder what is the problem. Are you not the same person? So,
the moods have changed.
Over 90% of these kids will call me Baba, Daddy. And of course, I felt respected. Naturally, I will be glad. Then you had those who will insist on treating me officially. Mr. Sonny.
It's like your grandpa.
I had to adjust. You know, listening to an 18-year-old, 19-year-old saying Mr. and persistently, he will not change it. Mr. Sonny, I adjusted. Then you now had one or two say, yes, he's a daddy, but it's not my father. Let me say the way exactly he said it, but it's not my father. So I needed to be that large-hearted. I knew that they were kids. I have the likes of them. Even in the class, there were things they do that I know that they just did those things innocently. Maybe one of them wanted to pass a book. That book will be passed over and above my head. Of course, I will not say anything. And also, you know, you have to mind yourself. You know, there's a Yoruba proverb that says,
Break it down, please.
Yeah. That if you don't want to be disgraced, you also have to respect yourself. So I did not take it upon myself to suddenly become their counselor. No, I want you to be this. So if you wanted my advice, you would come to me.
Oh, nice.
So
okay,
otherwise,
let's get it. You seem to have a lot of Let's get a lot of things from you.
So for me, it's just brain power. Because they tell us, oh, the older you get, the harder it becomes. And here you are, you bagged first class plus 8 awards above all those small children. What were you eating? What were you drinking? How did it work out this way?
Thank you very much. Please, let me first give all glory unto Almighty God. Because I'd be deceiving myself if I did not do this. Do you know that I am aware that this brain today is not as sharp as it used to be? Well, of course, only very few people will believe that. That I about if it had wanted to be sharp, what else will you get? Because when you look at time efficiency, those days I will read a page, I will read 2 pages, I will not go back to those pages.
It sticks.
Locked. And I could be sure that I'll be able to deliver when necessary. These days, let me tell you, what I will spend 1 hour fixing, today I will spend 3 hours.
Okay.
So, but I needed to ensure that it's well locked, so that there will not be an accident.
So you are taking sociology in 85.
But what I had then, you know what I had then, which was a very strong retentive memory, which I have less of now. But there is something I have today that I did not have there.
Yes, that's what happens.
So I have the experience today. If you ask me the question, the way I will answer that question, the majority of lecturers will just, in fact, let me just give him an A.
Case in point right now.
Because the idea is I will be determined to exceed expectations.
Okay.
So I want to take you to retired but not tired.
I'm going to just join the next bus to Ibadan. And then when I got there, it was not all about rest. I started resting and I became over-rested. And you know, petty illness started creeping in. And I looked at myself, what is going on? And I started visiting hospitals. You know, physiotherapy sessions, paying 5,000 naira per session. And it got to a time that the doctor said, please, can I have your history as far as career is concerned? When I told him, he said, no wonder. How can you just retire suddenly that way? So I now sat back and I remember, why do people behave the way they behave? This is an inquiry that I have to now set forth to get. So 2017, I just went to University of Ibadan. And with my kid, who also wanted to enter the university then. And I think the first port of call was the Department of Psychology. We met a professor, I can't remember the name there, who told us that, oh, psychology, the emphasis is on the individual. But the way I'm listening to you, why do people behave the way they behave? You may be a natural sociologist. So that was how I was led to the sociology department. And I was made to understand that I would have to go through JAMB.
So you wrote JAMB?
Yes. I wrote JAMB.
You did.
I had thought that with my accounting certificate, I'll be given a direct admission. What happened? Can be very conservative, and I'm very proud of that. So they made me understand that I will have to write JAMB. So I had to prepare. We went to Bere bookshop.
And you were reading?
You and your son were reading together?
My daughter.
Your daughter?
Yes.
Whoa. Both of you wrote JAMB together?
For law. So we read together, we prepared hard, and along go for it. God favored the weak. So we got that admission, and you know.
Were you ever in class with her at any point?
Did we study any course together at any point in time in sociology? No. Because she, let me say, she spent 1 year somewhere else when she ought to have been in law. Otherwise, we will have been in classes like, in some of the electives. We have been together in this class.
You went back, you studied sociology, and the question you've reiterated over and over again is, why do people behave the way they do? Now that you have started this journey, is it really for you to know? Is it do you want to apply it, you know, in some way, this knowledge that you have? Is this something you're looking to apply it as regards our country, or is this something you want to just know for yourself and your smaller community? What's the purpose?
Thank you very much. Initially, it was just to discover the answer to that question. Initially, as for being a lecturer, you know, when you have a passion for a thing, it's a completely different ball game. I remember I used to say that I could teach even without being paid. Gratuitous service. I mean, I took up teaching English to secondary school leavers And I remember that I was collecting a peanut, 100 naira, from them. Because I told them then that I would prove to them that English is the simplest subject in the world. Also, I started the Foresight Grammarians. And I was producing students. And anytime I produce them for GCE, I will also write that GCE with them. So I've written like 11 times English.
Wow.
So some of them will make an A1, I will also make an A1. And a few of them will come back to me to say, so Baba, you can say that we are on the same level. You made an A1, I made an A1. So sociology, you know, understanding the way people behave. As a sociologist, you will appreciate people's differences and you respect their spaces. You can't come here to tell me that because an Igbo man ties wrapper, that therefore it's not right. Which parameters did you use? That tie wrapper is symbolic. We have something we call symbolic interactionism in sociology. It has a meaning and a lot of meaning to them. Wearing the red cap, it has a meaning. To the Yoruba man, it may not mean anything. Just as the ring means a lot to a married woman. So, I actually want to apply this knowledge, perpetuate my understanding of human beings, particularly my household first, my wives. You know.
How many wives do you have?
Oh, I have 3 wives.
Really?
Yes.
And they live together in the same house or they're spread across Nigeria?
You have changed topic.
No, we just want to know. It's just about him today.
Maybe you'll bring me back here. Yes. We are living together.
Oh, live together. Oh, fantastic. I'd love to interview that.
Have you back.
You sound like a disciplinarian. You sound like a very strict man who, when you set your mind, when you make the rules, that authority, you don't need to talk much, everybody falls
That kind of
in line.
Don't you dare.
You see, I am. I am. Then, you know, I have to consciously water down hard lines, particularly when dealing with women.
Why? Why was that?
Oh, yes, when dealing with people who are not significant others to you. You can give instructions. When they fail to comply, you can apply sanctions. You can say, okay, you are sacked. You can't really sack your wife.
You should be in the theater too.
You see, and on many occasions, you know, when you look at the complexity, on many occasions, when you look at the complexity, you also have to be careful not to transfer the civil war at home to the place of work.
Yeah.
So is there civil war at home?
The temperature will always be warm.
I love that.
The temperature will always be warm. And that was why I embarked on that topic, my project. Domestic violence in polygenous Muslim marriages.
I love it.
Because I know the way my house is, so I wanted to know whether there were things I was not doing right. Are people just doing impression management outside there? Because I know what I'm going through. You know, you have to apply carrots and sticks. You know, so handling women will not particularly appreciate you being overtly rigid. You have to be that persuasive, where you have to step, where you have to calm down.
So let me ask you this question. You combine multiple roles. You were a father. You had your child, one of your daughter in school with you.
2 of them.
2 of them in school with you. You have wives.
Multiple
wives. And you were also studying. So fatherhood, studying, being a husband, being a provider, all of that together, and you still came out in flying colors. What would you say were the key things that influenced or strengthened you so somebody watching can get inspired?
Yes, my sister here mentioned one. But the first one I will mention is that passion. You know, passion hardly dies.
They say it's overrated. Tell us about it.
No. Passion is not overrated. Because you are not going to really become self-actualized if you don't fulfill. It's like not fulfilling one's mission in life.
God bless you, sir.
After reading that accounting, I thought that the course for me that will allow me to be flexible was management. So I picked up MSc in International Management from University of Liverpool, London. I realized that I was still not satisfied. I started the PhD program. Then I asked myself, is this actually asking my question? This is asking business questions. Leadership and organizational change. So I had to come back. So passion is number 1. The second one is discipline. And you know, with discipline, there are so many things that you have to compartmentalize. I knew that I had very little time. So I would spend that time very judiciously. While in school, I looked at free times. There was no time that was free to me. I was well known in the library. And weekends, all classes would be logged. I was not going also to become a burden to friendly lecturers. No, otherwise I could have asked them for the keys to their offices. I will not do that.
Yeah, respect.
When you come to the Faculty of Social Sciences, the car park, there are a lot of trees there. I actually took a table and a chair that I tied to the tree. So on Saturdays or weekends, I will be there, I will study. And truly speaking, when you have very hard study for 3, 4, 5 hours, you'll be okay. I knew that going home, I will not be able to do anything. Oh, my wife will tell you, you have been away since, and you are here now. What else are you doing?
Sorry, we have very little time. It's not all the time we have a man that has 3 wives. You know, I'm not sure we've had one before. So it's good to have an insight. How do you manage that? I mean, to help men who go into polygamy can learn from you that this is how Mr. Sani was able to manage 3 wives. Because now that you have educated, you now know why people behave the way they do. Has it helped you now in managing these 3 different personalities in your house?
Even then, it is still tough. You know, one thing is knowing the principles. The other thing is applying those principles.
Yes.
Then who is the person you are going to apply to? I'm going to apply these principles to Auntie Morayo and they will work. I will apply them to you, they will not work. That is the subjective element of the human being. No one cap fits all. So you have to treat them individually. For instance,
and check your capacity.
Somebody will want to know, why are you even embarking on this? What is the outcome? So for such a person, it could be economic determinism. That if it's not going to bring money, so I don't know why you are wasting your time.
Exactly.
And you know, at times you may also be infringing on their rights. Because when you are supposed to be available, even though they are also not available themselves, they would like to tell you that why are you not always available? You're also away Monday to Saturday. Okay? But at night, we can do whatever we need to do.
Is there a schedule for night?
Oh, usually there must be if you don't want chaos. And that schedule must be respected.
So they are not favorites.
And they must also be carried along. If you want it one day, so be it. If somebody says and whispers to your ears,
give me 2 days.
That does not allow us
How does
to do any
favoritism work in
Because
that?
when I enter your room today or you enter my room today, I may have a hangover that I would like to discuss with you when you next come. So this one day will not work. You will find a way of selling that idea to others. You persuade them so that they buy in. So you can do 2 days.
We need to bring him back. We need to bring master class on polygamy.
Because, as I say, we don't have guests like you all the time. So once we have that is knowledgeable, that is mature, that has done it successfully, we need that information because lots of people are suffering in polygamy. They don't know how to handle it, but it's good to hear from you. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up.
I wish we could sure.
And you know, I have no regrets. Going into polygyny. It's not polygamy. Polygyny. Polygyny when a man marries more than one wife. Polyandry when a woman marries more than one husband. And polygamy now is the father. Polygamy is either when a man takes multiple wives or when a woman takes multiple husbands. Polygamy. But polygyny,
that's the definition. Polygyny, a man, polyandry, a woman.
We are being schooled. We are being schooled.
Thank you. That was successful. Fantastic.
Well done, sir.
Good to have you on the show. We hope to bring you back soon. Hopefully our producers will bring you back. We'll have a full show on polygyny. How to manage a successful polygynous relationship.
Even fatherhood.
That would be interesting.
Be happy to
a lot of people are engaged me to do that for them. And I do.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure having you.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Our new toothpaste, Colgate Maximum.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, And last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail, or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail, or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail, or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail, or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women.
They don't care.
Right.
They will not care. And you see, a lot of people think that it's just the husband and the wife in the marriage. No. Yeah, the family is involved. Your friends are involved.
Anybody that you're listening to.
Yes, everybody that you're listening to. Social media is involved. TV is involved. What films are you watching? What series are you watching? Those things influence your thinking and your core beliefs. Yeah, and your decisions. And so, you know, I wouldn't like us to just look at this from an insular perspective or from an isolated perspective. It is the norm in society today. You know, there are people that are married, right?
But are separated.
But they're not really connected anymore. And the question is this: do you just want to save face? What is the import and the impact on the children? Because you see, when you bring up children in a dysfunctional environment, it affects them emotionally, psychologically, and behaviorally. And so you have to ask yourself, you know, what is really going on? And are you guys talking about that situation? Because you may think that your children don't know. You may think that they don't feel what is going on. But guess what? They know, they feel it, and it's affecting them. And one of the ways that you know is their behaviors. The second way you know is their academics. It will start to drop. And with children, you know, those are the two critical ways you will know. However, on the long term, it would affect them emotionally and psychologically. And even as adults, to be able to function. Yeah. So, you know, I think that, you know, we should approach this conversation.
Absolutely. That's actually what we want to do.
Yeah. Right. So you mentioned that there are couples in marriages that are living apart mentally, even though they're living together physically. So that means that they have outgrown each other. So what kind of advice can you give to couples in a marriage that feel they are outgrowing each other? They haven't gotten to the peak yet, but they're beginning to sense that there's something off about my partner that is, you know...
You don't even know they're actually outgrowing each other.
Yeah, they can tell to a certain extent.
Well, you know, some know.
Some don't.
Some know and want to do something about it. Some know and don't care. Some don't know. Some, you know, the people around them know. You know, so there are different scenarios. For the guy that knows and wants to do something about it, right, then it's important for you to sit down and first of all do a reflection. You know, and ask yourself, you know, how old are we? How mature are we? Because maturity and seeking for peace is one of the greatest things that, you know, keeps marriages together. You know, it's a case of when we get into an argument or we have a conflict. Am I trying to prove that I'm the one that is right? Am I choosing my own perspective, right? My own core values, my own ideologies, my own belief over the relationship and over peace in the relationship? So I call it choosing peace over justice.
Right.
A lot of people would rather choose justice. And their argument is based on the fact that I am the one that is right.
And I want to gain closure.
My way. And I insist that, you know, we have this conversation now. Rather than, you know what, let's approach this from a mature perspective. Let us talk. You have your views. I have my views. And let us, you know, merge those views and come up with one solution.
Like a marriage appraisal.
Yes. So that's the people that know. That's the first thing. The second thing is to then accept that we have grown apart.
Yeah.
You know, when you marry, and that's why, you know, one of the concepts that you know, a lot of people used to teach us is don't marry early. Because you see, what you want at age 21
Totally different.
and what you want at age 25 is different from what you want at 30,
Absolutely.
35, 40, 45, 50.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So when is the best age to get married?
You know, there is no age. It's the age where you are mature. It's the age where you found yourself. It's the age where you've discovered your true essence. It's the age where, you know, you understand that you're here for a purpose, right? And you understand the purpose of that marriage.
Key. Very key.
Because every human being is born with a purpose.
Absolutely.
Right? And you have a life vision and a life mission. And your partner has a life mission and a life mission. So you both get in the same boat. And your own life mission is supposed to lead you west. But your partner's is supposed to lead her east. And you are in the same boat. One person will suffer a casualty, or both of you will suffer a casualty as it pertains to your life vision and your purpose. So you should not be married if you are not clear. At least if you don't have an inclination about where you are going, who you are, and your partner as well, and you have that conversation. There is a book that I've been writing for the last 2 years. The questions that you must ask yourself before you say I do.
That would be an interesting book.
I have created over 365 questions.
Wow. Can you just mention some of these questions?
These are some of the questions that I'm asking already. Why am I here?
Yeah.
Who am I? Who am I not? Because who you are not is as important as who you are. You know, a lot of us, because of FOMO, we make certain decisions, right? Because of our fear of missing out. And, you know, we're living other people's lives. We're not authentic. We're not original.
Right.
We're not doing our own thing. We're not living our lives on our own terms. So we're living other people's lives. Now, you now want that person to marry someone else that's like that person. Who will be making the decisions in your relationship? Other people. You know, what other people will say, what other people will think, and all of those things. So you must ask those questions. You must ask, what am I? And what am I not? Because you see, when you talk about, okay, let me use a spoon to describe this concept, right? A teaspoon is different from a soup spoon.
Yes.
And a tablespoon.
Absolutely.
So you use a teaspoon for tea. Use a tablespoon to eat on the table. A soup spoon to stir the soup when you are cooking the soup in the pot. If you take a soup spoon into the pot, what is going to happen to your hands or your fingers? You'll burn it. And so a lot of people are putting themselves to abnormal use in relationships and in marriages because they don't know what they are. They don't know what they are not. They don't know what their spouse is or what their spouse isn't. They don't know who they are. Yes. They don't know why they're on earth. They don't know what their purpose or the solution that they were born to be is. Now, I am called to you in a marriage, please, not to compete with each other. So my difference is your complement, not your conflict. But my difference becomes your conflict, and your difference becomes my conflict. And then that becomes the bone of contention and conflicts in our marriage.
Man, this is
a master class. Okay, so I'm taking you back to children. You know, while growing up, we would realize that quite a number of people were from dysfunctional homes such that they saw their parents doing a lot of things, but you would realize that maybe the mother would say, I'm staying because of my children. I'm staying because, you know, we just mostly give the reason for the children. And so now that we're much older, we see that when we cite something that looks like what we've experienced in our parents' house, I'm speaking generally now, we run, right? Which is now a reason why I feel that the exposure that we've seen now is as a result of the fact that we've seen it before, we don't want to allow it happen again.
Like avoiding trauma.
Avoiding it again. But we see that the long-term effects of that, whereby the woman can't even, any small thing, she's moved. Yes. Yeah. What are those effects on the society today as a whole?
Yeah, so that is another fundamental reason why marriages, you know, are failing today. So there's what we call flight, fight, freeze, response to trauma. And so you suffer. I often say that there are three victims in any dysfunctional environment: the person that is abusing, the person that is abused, and the witness. So in this case, the children witnessed it. You see, we're all products of our environment. It's almost like the greatest school when it comes to marriage is the family institution you're born into. Because you wake up in the morning, 24/7, you're there. So maybe you marry at 8:30. For 30 years of your life, you're studying. You're in school. And you're a product of what you've learned. It's because all you know is all you have learned. Right? And you cannot produce anything outside of that. So it's either you replicate that model or you resist it. But what you resist persists. So you now realize that, man, this is a trigger. But that trigger psychologically impacts and emotionally impacts you. So you make a decision. So I say to people, there is no decision that we make that is not based on an emotion. So every decision you make is emotionally based. And every emotion you have is belief based. And every belief you have is your thought influence. And every thought influence is coming from an environment. So your environment shapes your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, ultimately your decisions. And your decisions influence your actions. So you are now acting out of, you know, a place of what you truly want. You want to be happy. You want to be married. You want children. But you know what? You can't stay in a relationship. And you're wondering, what's wrong with me? After every 6 months, you sabotage that relationship. Self-sabotage. When, you know, everything is looking all rosy, then your commitment-phobic dysfunction shows up. You sabotage that relationship. You always fight or you always escape. Once it's getting too intense, find out that you just do something.
I beg, Joe, I can't
You know? And if you see the patterns, you will realize that, man, there's something going on. It's either you fight the person, it's either you take flight, or you just recoil into yourself. You're not talking, you're not engaged.
A sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black, or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you ever wondered what happened?
All right, thank you for staying with us. Earlier I mentioned we are having a masterclass here because we have the one and only Lanre Olushola in the studio with us talking to us about ideals of marriage. You can join the conversation and call us on 081-0764-1679 or 090-241-63440 or Twitter us using TVC Connect using the hashtag YourViewTVC. Now, let's backtrack a bit to this matter of what makes marriages work, actually. We need to understand it, the ideals. I know there is a thread that runs through that one can say these are the building blocks of marriage. What are they? Especially for those who are looking to get married, those who are in marriages and are thinking, okay, let me take my time to look at how far we have come. What is missing that are the ideals that are not part of the building blocks of our marriage or the foundation of our marriage? What are those things?
Well, I'll say there are 5 main ones. I've mentioned one, maturity, peace, which is born out of being emotionally intelligent. So, you know, researchers...
We have a call on the line.
All right.
I apologize.
No worries.
Kelechi has called in from Shasha. Kelechi, good morning. Welcome to the show. Go ahead with your contribution.
Veronica and Cook, good morning.
Can you speak up, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I'm a regular follower of this program.
Thank you.
This is the first time I'm calling on a Saturday.
Oh, hey.
Yes, Auntie Topper knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But I want to ask this question to Dr. Larry. Honestly, this hot topic is hotter. So I want to ask him this question, please. I do hear about self-belief. Experts will tell you believe in self. You understand? Believe in self. That's the best form of belief. Christianity will tell you believe in yourself and believe in God. But they believe in God much more than they believe in self. Now, Dr. Larry, let's leave about that Christianity of the thing. Please, what does it take to believe in self? And how does it go? And how does one go about self-discovery? Because this concept is really, really giving me concern.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelechi. Yes, self-discovery and belief.
Yeah, thank you, Kelechi. You know, it's a very, very fundamental success factor.
Yeah.
Not just in marriage, in business, in life, is this cocktail. A healthy self-worth, self-confidence, and self-belief. Without it, you can't succeed in any chosen field of endeavor. Now, and you know, quite a number of people are struggling with their self-worth, their self-confidence, and self-belief. Why? Because of this same background that we're talking about. What kind of home did you grow up in? What position alongs, you know, the number of children and siblings are you?
Is that critical?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. If you are the last born and...
I am.
Yes. If you are the last born and, you know, you have older siblings that chance you, suppress you, right, and shut you up, you will struggle with your self-esteem, self-confidence. But the number one role of parents and older siblings is to help you build your confidence. So if you have siblings that tell you, you know, a friend of yours comes to chance you and bullies you, and you tell your older brother, and your older brother says, what?
Let's go there.
Let's go there. Slap him! Slap him. You know, you bullied my younger, oh yeah, get into. You are not supposed to be afraid of him. What is it doing?
Building your confidence.
Building your confidence. Or your father or your mother or, you know, however, if they are the ones that talk down at you, if that environment is a toxic environment, you find out that your self-worth and your self-esteem will be completely eroded, right? And you will struggle in many areas of your life. So having said that, right, if that fails, then you, right, need to start doing self-help. You have to start reading books or attending courses that will get to the heart of your self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, you know, trigger.
All right.
What is it? because we have to get to the heart of it. Or you have a teacher who used to compare you with somebody else, right, and tell you, why can't you be? Or you have a parent or a mother that say, are you the only one in the class?
Right.
Why are you coming back with 10th position? Or you are fat, or you are plump, and they are always complaining about your weight. They are chipping on your self-worth. So it is about self-help. It is about getting a coach. It is about reading. It's about getting those self-help,
taking deliberate
initiatives.
steps.
Yeah, intentionality.
Yes. We have Patience on the line. Patience, are you there? Patience, can you hear me? If you can, please speak up. And if you can't, call us back. It's very important. Right. There's a whole lot we have to talk about in such a short time.
Period of time.
That's why we want to quickly address it. And earlier I mentioned the matter of the building blocks to marriage.
Yeah.
You could quickly address
so the
that.
first is, the concept that we call emotional intelligence. Research has now proven that 85% of success in relationships or in any chosen field of endeavor is dependent on how emotionally intelligent you are. There are 5 components of emotional intelligence. 1, self-awareness. Do you know yourself? Do you know your strengths? Do you know your weaknesses? Do you know your interests, your passion? Right? Do you know why you are here? Do you know what you're good at? And all of those things. Self-awareness. How do you show up in an environment where there are plenty of people, when there are, a small number of people, right? Self-awareness is the first thing. The second thing is motivation. What drives you? What motivates you? Are you extrinsically motivated or intrinsically motivated? Are you motivated by bonus? Are you motivated by money? Are you motivated by something that someone has power over? Or are you motivated by,
being around people?
Yes, being around people, that's external. But are you motivated by your own personal passion, interest, your own curiosity, your own desire to want to be a better person and to impact society? Motivation. Now, your environment. How does your environment influence your emotions, your thoughts, your beliefs? And how does that influence whether you have empathy or not?
Because they don't go and marry a wicked husband.
Exactly.
You marry a wicked man, you not
empathy and compassion.
They cannot feel it.
Man. Oh God. Can you just hold your thoughts?
Yeah.
We have Noanu on the line.
Yeah, they claim you did, but you said it just happened. That
And it's called what again?
Subterfuge.
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 So you look me finish from head to toe. You look at a person who go know what to become such. Yeah?
The nude wasn't like a game plan. Or
I promise you, it was actually a mistake. Like it was sending it to someone, and it just mistakenly just.
Yeah.
Well,
people have the opinion that it is modernization that is making marriages break up.
Yeah.
That our old system was working, but was it really working? I don't agree.
Or maybe they were just suppressed and they weren't self-aware, just like you have told us.
You see, so let's look at it from a broader perspective, right? We are mostly influenced by what is going on in America. So our personal culture and tradition, right, is more external influenced. And if you looked at in America, if you looked at Europe and their divorce rates, it's the highest in the world.
Yeah.
But if you look at India, the divorce rate in India is about 1%.
But the abuse is also high.
Yes, India is a large, country, and there are different reasons why there's a lot of abuse. And yes, there's positivity and there's negativity.
Everywhere.
Right, everywhere, right. But if we looked at why, it's because that if you strip it, right, you would find out in their room. And the cook brings the...
We have another caller on the line. Please go ahead with your contribution. Oh, unfortunately, Damola.
Yes. So one of the key elements that we hear that is key to a successful marriage is patience. And you also alluded to that fact on one of your anniversary posts, after you had hailed Madame, and then you said, another marriage, if not handled properly.
I mean, look, man, I'm not easy. I'm driven by purpose.
Right.
The last 20 years of my life, all that I do is what God wants me to do, what God created me to do, which is this, to transform lives and transform minds. So I was running 14 businesses.
Whoa.
14. And I shut all 14 down. I shut all 14 down to pursue this. She was patient. I was selling clothes. I was doing interiors. I was a civil engineer. I was building, renovating. And one day I just came and said, God told me. God told me to shut down all my businesses.
Wow.
I'm father, I'm provider.
Wow.
So patience, even though you don't understand, what the hell this guy is talking about. Patience. Was it easy? No. It wasn't. It wasn't even easy for me. Because I was stumbling through it.
Yeah.
And the fact that, I now came and say, we have to change our name. Yeah. You married me as Lanre Kupolui. Now you change your name to Lanre Olushola. You this guy, Otikolo. So you were Mrs. X. Suddenly you were known as Mrs. Y. So of another struggle. So also the pursuit of my assignment requires that I travel a lot. Requires that I interface with a lot of people. Requires that every day I'm on Zoom or sessions at least maybe 8 hours a day.
Whoa.
Yes. So including my children are patient with me.
Right.
And that's why, the concept that I spoke about, freedom and liberty,
yes,
is very, very important.
Yes.
Because one of the things that I also do is make sure that she pursues her dream. And I support her 150%. And as she fulfills her own dream, as she evolves as who God wants her to be, right? Which is the reason why she's here. Yes. She's not here because of me. She's here because God has created her for a purpose. So in supporting her to fulfill that dream, right, she yields and supports me to fulfill the reason why I'm created. And so as I am patient, she's patient. Marriage, and that's another element in emotional intelligence, suru. Patience. They say patience is a virtue. Oh yes, it is a virtue. Now, the ability to build relationships is another very critical component of emotional intelligence. Building relationships, right? The ability to know what makes you tick, the ability to know what interests you, the ability to know who you are, the ability to know, why you are here and what drives you, and the ability to support you in all of that, irrespective of the fact that it may be at variance to your own model.
Yeah.
Now, you must be able to accept that my model was nurtured.
Yeah.
I was nurtured into that nature. Likewise, she was nurtured into her nature. And if I feel that I have a right, to live by my nature, and I want people to accept my nature, right, then you should also be able to let other people to be comfortable to be themselves. Why? Because I was nurtured based on my background. She was nurtured based on her background. And we're two different natured people coming together by virtue of our nurture. So maybe I married at maybe 30-something. She married at maybe 20-something, right? So I've got 32 years of nurture. She's got 25 years of nurture, right? And you are expecting that you will change someone. Never try to change your spouse. Never. That is where a lot of problems come in. And the question you want to ask yourself is, you want to change your spouse to what? You want to change your spouse to yourself. But you've had a 35-year head start. So you've got to be able to support them. Now, if both of you have common vision, right, and common values, that makes things easier.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, go on.
Okay, a lot of people, the topic today is secrets to a long-lasting marriage. But there are people that have thoughts in their mind, myths that they've held on for a long time. So one of those would be that some people would say that once you have a big wedding, it means that your marriage won't last.
It's a threat.
Right? People think that way. So that's why Yorubas will sometimes say, when your yam is critical, you should cover it. Right? Another one would also say that the wife must be the one that would always cook in a marriage. So these are things that a lot of people have absorbed as their reality, such that anything that is different from what they already believe is heading for a failure in that marriage. Can you please bust those myths and shake those tables such that people are able to see that it's not just one way that leads to a lasting marriage?
All right, so you were asking about the pillars. Another pillar is your belief system. Because you see, belief, man, is so powerful.
Yes.
One of the most profound statements I've ever heard in my life is this: if only you can believe, then all things are possible to him that believes.
Yes.
Now. If you also lack belief, then everything is impossible for you.
Yes.
So let's bring it into marriage. So you believe that there are certain things that affect and infect your marriage. Oh, they will affect and infect your marriage. Except you change those beliefs. It's almost like the software that runs this phone. It's your beliefs and your value, your life, that run every decision you make, that run your career, that run every conviction. Now, once it becomes a conviction, right, it's justified.
Yeah.
You will act it out. In fact, you will now begin to commission disciples. So it will not only be you suffering from that limiting belief, you would also infect other people who will suffer from that belief. So it is therefore very, very important for us to audit our thoughts. For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Now, you think with your brain, not your heart. It's a very interesting concept.
Yes.
Your thoughts influence your emotions and your beliefs. And your beliefs and your emotions influence your decisions, and your decisions influence your actions. Yeah. So if you want to change anything in your life, you must audit your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotions, which is the concept of self-awareness. So the question you want to ask yourself is, what am I doing on Instagram for 8 hours? What am I doing watching Netflix for 5 hours? What do I know about me?
Staying by yourself.
Very important time. But you see, I want you to quickly touch on the impact of the dysfunctions we're seeing in marriages, the impact on society, attendant implications quickly before we leave.
The family is the bedrock of society. Period. What happens in different families cumulatively influence what happens in the communities that those families live in. And the cumulative, behaviors or culture or traditions or actions in those communities influences the city that you live in. The cumulative behaviors or habits in those cities influence the country. And then as cumulatively we expand on that, the world is influenced. Where did it start from? Family. If we want to change the world, let's change the family unit.
That's it, fine. Please to leave the conversation. Yeah. There's so much to unpack from this. There's so much. There's so much. If we had extended the show, there's so many questions to be asked. And I know that so many callers would have also called in to ask or contribute one way or the other. But we must thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Lanu Olushola for this masterclass that we didn't pay for. It's quite an interesting one. Thank you. Thank you so much. And you can go back to check online to revisit, what we have discussed this morning. It's such an impactful one that you can learn from to move you forward, the society, your family, your friends, everyone. Just share the link and you get so much to learn from it. Ladies, we have to end the show now. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied with the treadmill, send it back for a full refund.